The reception area for the MIG would be a very small area.
Okay, so they would come up, so you didn't read that document,
No.
correct? And to your knowledge, no one told anyone what the document was, were the ones where they were signing 2 by 2, correct?
Correct.
And then those were documents, they were signing individual documents with their names on it?
I believe so.
Not a massive group document?
Correct.
So you don't, again, didn't read that document, I just want to
not.
make sure. Now, there was no lawyer with you or Mr. Hudson?
No.
Okay, now what's going on in the basement? Is there a lawyer down there?
Sean Flynn, the lawyer for the Trump team, was down there at certain points. I'm not sure at what points he was.
So there's at least one lawyer down there. Any other lawyers to your knowledge?
There was at least one other lawyer in the building. I believe there might have been multiple in the conference room.
How do you know or think there were multiple?
Just by
lawyers?
Conversations that I heard a lot. They could have been a lot stupid.
Okay, so just by the things that they were saying,
Yeah,
sounded kind of lawyerly?
no, it sounded like there was multiple people talking about legal discussions.
What about a gentleman named Ian Norton? Was he there?
He came with Michonne Maddock. Mr. Norton tried to gain entry into the building with camera crew. And again, I was told that this meeting was a private meeting. We didn't want it to be construed as something that it wasn't. And so we weren't allowed to let in the media or any camera crews. And so I told him that he couldn't come to the building and asked him to leave.
So Mr. Norton was not allowed in the building?
He stepped in briefly to speak with the Trump lawyer as well as someone from the Trump campaign on the phone, and then waited in the parking lot of his bank.
Do you know who he spoke to from the Trump campaign on the phone?
I do not.
Did you overhear any part of that
I
conversation?
did not.
Then he waited out in the parking lot.
Correct.
So there's Sean Flynn, who's a lawyer in the building, and then you think there are other lawyers in the building, but again, you don't know exactly.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm clear on that. And then, so you're up on the first floor with Mr. Hudson, bringing people up 2 by 2 to sign documents. As it relates to the basement, when the electors are down there, are you down there at any point in time other than to just bring them up?
No, I was down there for the start of the meeting when they gavelled it in. Then I was down there at the very end to make the announcement. And that was really the only time I was on basement.
Who gavelled the meeting in?
Sean Flynn.
Do you know what he said when he gavelled the meeting in?
I don't. I left.
Do you recall anything that you overheard what electors were being told about the document that was either downstairs or the purpose of the meeting or anything?
I do not.
You indicated that Mr. Flynn took the documents that you had people sign, or you said there was another document in the
From
basement. And where was the document in the basement that you saw when you went down there?
It had been on, there was a small circular table that the document was on. They had people go around and sign the document around that table. He then collected it and took it upstairs.
So did you see 3 signature pages and
I did.
essentially people walking around signing that?
Correct.
And then Mr. Flynn took that document from the basement?
Correct.
Did he have it in his hand? Or I should say the 3 signature pages, those documents, did he have them in his hand? Did he put them in an envelope? Do you remember?
He had them in his hand.
Had them in his hand? Did you see him go to his office then?
Well, at that point, he was walking back towards the conference room.
And who was in the conference room?
Again, I didn't look in. He was just headed towards the conference room. He turned into the conference room as I walked to my office to get my cover.
To your knowledge, Mr. Haggard wasn't in the conference room.
No.
He would have been in the basement or signing the document that you and Mr. Hudson had him come up to sign.
Correct. When the meeting was adjourned, I don't believe any of the electors stayed within the building. Some met in the parking lot outside, but most of the electors just left.
Did Mr. Flynn say anything to you when he had the document in his hand?
He did. He said, "Can you believe that I have to send this to the Secretary of State, the Vice President, and the National Archives?"
That was Mr. Flynn saying that.
Correct.
You didn't hear him say anything like that in the basement, did you?
I did not.
And then you were asked by Mr. Hudson to go and talk to people in the basement about going to the Capitol.
Correct.
Why did Mr. Hudson not tell people not to go to the Capitol?
Well, usually things like that I dealt with because it was a media matter. It was a communications thing.
A media matter, meaning?
Meaning that involved the perception of the party within the public.
Okay, so there might be publicity about this.
Correct.
When you got the phone call on December 13th about the meeting the following day, did you, it might sound like a silly question, but did you call the police or anything to report, hey, I think there's going to be a crime occurring tomorrow?
No.
And on any time on December 14th, did you call the police and say, I think there's a crime occurring here at the Republican Party headquarters?
No.
How did you contact anyone from the government?
I,
Or did they contact you? Maybe that's a better question.
I contacted someone that was with the January 6th investigation.
Was that Representative Cheney?
It was.
And when did you do that?
I did that after the case was referred to the federal authorities.
So approximately when?
January
of
2022.
2022.
Correct.
And then did you contact anyone else, anyone in the media, anything like that?
I've spoken with Craig Munger several times.
Did you contact him or did he contact you?
I contacted him.
When did you contact him? Before or after you spoke to or contacted Representative Cheney?
After I contacted Representative Cheney.
About how long after?
Well, approximately a week.
What was the purpose for that?
To find out who that I could get in touch with, because I thought that there was people that I thought the story that had been written, there was other sides to it that needed to be talked about.
What do you mean by that?
I thought not necessarily the entire truth had come out of the story.
What I'm just not sure what story you're referring to.
There was a story about the fact that the case had been referred back to the federal authorities, and it was talking about the various the slate of electors that they had. Basically, I thought that several of the people that were involved in this weren't implicated, and that a lot of the electors were not necessarily responsible for what happened.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear. So you contacted Representative Cheney and then you contacted a reporter.
Correct.
And it's because essentially the electors were being cast as having, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, having knowingly committed a crime, and you did not believe that to be the case.
Correct.
Then you also subsequently spoke with people from the Attorney General's office.
Correct.
Did you share that philosophy with them as well?
I did.
And that was based on your experience at the meeting?
Correct.
And that was based on your experience leading up to the meeting and then after the meeting as well?
Correct.
Is it your opinion, having been at the meeting with all the facts and circumstances, that the electors were not fully informed as to what others may be doing with that document?
Your Honor, I'm going to object that, ask him to draw a conclusion that I don't believe a foundation has been laid. He has personal knowledge to make that conclusion or even render that opinion.
Want to respond to the objection?
Mr. Zamet was, and I can ask him additional questions, but Mr. Zamet participated in a telephone call on December 13th. He was actually present on December 14th. He has been the witness with the most intimate knowledge so far of what was occurring on December 14th, 2020. This witness actually took it upon himself to contact individuals to say that at least some of the electors were being cast in a light that was untrue. I think the basis for that is extremely relevant.
And I'll add, if I may, Your
Is he
Honor.
joining into my objection?
No,
We're not sure. Are you, what's your objection?
I'm gonna articulate another reason to oppose the objection if the court will allow.
Okay.
And this witness told the AG's office investigator exactly about his concerns before they indicted the case.
Well, may I respond now? Your
Yes.
Honor? This witness testified he was not in the basement during the entirety of the meeting, so he cannot attest to what the defendants were or were not told or what their intent was. He is not qualified to draw that conclusion. He may have opinions, but he is not competent to draw that legal conclusion about their guilt or innocence. That is for the trier of fact, and we're not even there yet.
Respectfully, Your Honor, he's been the most competent witness they've put on in almost 2 days. He's the only person who was there. it seems like another individual who was in the basement, Sean Flynn, would be right to ask these questions to. He's not on the government's witness list. He's the lawyer who was down there. I think Mr. Zammit was in the building. He's overhearing conversations, both from the electors, people on the phone, hearing bits and pieces when he goes down to the basement. He's been more than honest that he wasn't down there the entire time. But wait, based on what he did hear and based on what he did witness, his opinion is valid. The court can weigh it, recognizing that he wasn't down there the entire time. But he is as close to what has happened in that basement as we have gotten after 2 full days.
Well, first and foremost, Mr. Zammit, and he has been very forthright, did not even see the documents that the defendants were signing. And just because he is the closest that we've gotten to the basement, first of all, he's not the last witness, and him being the closest to what's gotten in the basement does not render him competent to draw a conclusion on the guilt, innocence, or intent of the defendants.
The attorney, oh, sorry, Arnie.
No, you can continue.
The attorney general has asked him about the documents to then say, well, you didn't say them. You respectfully, they're the ones who brought them up with Mr. Zammit. And then we pursued that with him.
And with respect, Your Honor, he did see the document that was signed. They think it's a 2-page document. We think it's a 1-page document. This witness saw a 1-page document signed in the basement. So we certainly can talk about that.
Your question again was?
It's been so long.
Exactly.
Counsel was asking this witness to give an opinion on the culpability of the defendants, which I do not believe is a legitimate question.
Respectfully, I don't believe that was my question. I believe my question was, is the reason that he contacted the reporter and then Representative Cheney was because he did not believe that the electors, at least some of them, we haven't, not all of them, because I think he said the word some, at least some of them were not criminally culpable as they were being portrayed.
So I think the court needs to hear why this witness made the call. So I think it's an appropriate question.
I believe the witness answered that question, that's why he did call Representative Cheney and Craig Mauger. But I believe the question that I objected to went a little further, asking him about his opinion on the guilt or innocence. Yes.
Well, he can't draw that conclusion, so whatever value it has, it doesn't go to probable cause anyway.
Thank you.
So objections overruled. You can answer the question.
Thank you. Mr. Zammit, I'm going to try to repeat the question again, and I may not get it right this third time. Was the reason that you contacted Representative Cheney and the reporters because you believed at least some of the electors were not criminally culpable as they were being portrayed?
That is correct.
And did you share that sentiment with the Attorney General's office?
I did.
What did you base your opinion on, only facts and circumstances, when you believed that they were being unfairly cast?
I think a lot of folks listen to lawyers. I think it's a position of authority, and I think that they were being told something by a lawyer that they needed to sign certain documents so that Michigan would not be disenfranchised.
Was the lawyer you're referring to Sean Flynn?
Well, my understanding about the whole meeting was the reason why we were meeting that day, as I was told by our lawyer for the party, was because it had happened in the past. We were signing these documents so that our state would not be disenfranchised. And that's why I was there in the first place.
So the lawyer, at least one of the lawyers you're referring to is the Stuart Sandler.
Correct.
And then Sean Flynn, we also know, is in the building.
Correct.
There might have been other lawyers as well. I think you think there were. And is that correct, sir?
Correct.
And then Ian Northam was in the parking lot.
Correct.
And so you were told on the telephone, and you believe this was again articulated at the meeting, was that Michigan needed to have the Republican electors sign this document so that Michigan would not lose its electoral votes if essentially the Michigan was reversed and President Trump was found to have won the state of Michigan. Is that a fair summary?
Correct.
And were you told there was actually a historical basis for this type of contingency plan?
I was.
And what was the historical basis?
1960 in Hawaii.
1960 in Hawaii. Had you heard about that case before?
I had known there was a recount, but I wasn't sure of the specifics.
Were you told any of the specifics?
Not really.
Were you told that essentially an alternate slate of electors voted as a contingency plan in case the votes in Hawaii were switched?
I was.
And that's what led you to believe that this meeting and the electors coming was on solid ground?
Correct.
And it's your opinion, based on what you witnessed and what you heard, that at least the people at the meeting were informed of that as well?
I'm not sure on that. I did
Okay.
not believe that.
But based on what you witnessed and observed and overheard, you have no reason to believe that anyone had another agenda in terms of the electors?
Not that I'm aware.
One moment, please. And I guess to be clear, how often did you meet with the Attorney General's office once you contacted them?
I only know them once.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I didn't hear his last response.
Oh, he said he met with them only once.
Only.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Zabin. My name is Nick Somberg, representing Sean Maddock. On December 14th, when you were at the party headquarters, what was the mood of the room when you were there?
I don't want to say somber, but it wasn't like a celebratory mood.
It was not a celebration of any kind?
Not that I saw, but then again, I wasn't in the room the entire time.
Was there any like pizza or cake or pop or anything like
Not
that?
that I'm aware of.
Is there any congratulations given to the electors by anybody?
Not that I know of.
You spoke with Laura Cox on the phone the day before, on the 13th.
Correct.
Did she tell you that this was going to be a celebration for the electors?
She said that there was going to be a meeting for them at the headquarters, but again, it was more procedural is what we talked about.
What were your responsibilities on the day of the meeting?
The day of the meeting that day, I was to help out administratively and with any type of help they might need in terms of collecting documents or doing the cell phone stuff, but my primary role was to keep out camera crews and to deal with any media that might show up.
Is this a normal responsibility to keep out camera crews?
Depending on what type of meeting we're having, yes.
Is it as simple as just locking the front door?
No, it's not, because reporters are a little bit more dogged than that.
You testified on direct that you said we collected the cell phones. Who
But
is,
Troy Hudson was helping as well.
and is that normal as well?
It depends again on what type of meeting we were having. With everybody having basically a TV studio and a broadcasting studio in their pocket, if we were having a meeting that we didn't necessarily want to be public, we collected cell phones. I can think of at least 2 other times that we did such.
Now, on direct, you said there's 3 signature pages in the basement, right?
Correct.
But there was another document to be signed upstairs in the reception area.
Yes.
Did you see all 16 people sign that document?
Yes.
Two by two, correct? Was Mary Ann Henry present?
I believe so.
Did you witness if she was in the room witnessing people's signatures?
I did not.
Did you not witness it, or you didn't, or she did not witness?
For the upstairs document or the
Yes.
downstairs?
So the upstairs document in the reception was.
I can't recall.
And my question, to finish my question, was did you see Mary Ann Henry observing people's signatures?
I cannot recall.
Fair enough. When did you become aware of the idea that this would be an alternate slate?
When you say alternate slate, do you mean, what do you mean by that?
On direct, the lady testified that this slate was to be signed in the event that Donald Trump was to be found the true winner of Michigan.
Well, my understanding was that the document they would sign would say that, and that would have been the day before. That they were willing to serve if evidence was found in a court of law to overturn the election.
And that was something that you found on the 13th, not the 14th.
Correct.
Was that your understanding of the overall purpose of this meeting?
That was.
And who gave, how did you get that understanding?
That's what I was told the day before on the conference call.
By who?
By Laura Cox and Stu Sandler.
Was it more Laura or more Stu?
I can't, it's been 3 years. I can't remember how the conversation exactly went.
You stated you left the meeting for about an hour, went up to your office.
Correct.
What prompted that?
It wasn't necessarily a meeting that I was involved in other than from a clerical and administrative side. So at that point, I really didn't have a need to be there. So I went upstairs to do other work.
Including the time that you were. Sorry. Question about the basement. Why was the meeting held in the basement?
Probably just for space reasons. The largest conference room we had at headquarters was not necessarily a spacious area, and with that many people in a room, it was a little tight, but I don't know for certain.
Okay, it wasn't to be sneaky. Or
Not
anything.
that I know of.
It was for you had a lot of people. That was the largest room available.
I believe so.
Have you had meetings in the past in the basement?
We have.
How long was the total meeting?
I'm
If you know.
not sure. It was probably around an hour, but I don't know the exact time.
But you were, how much time were you there before you left for an hour?
No more than 5 minutes, I don't think.
Were you not at the meeting?
No.
And why not?
Again, I don't have any real legal expertise, and I wasn't a person who was an elector, and therefore I was only there to be in a clerical role.
Was anybody taking notes of this meeting?
Not to my knowledge.
Taking of the cell phones, was that common?
Again, I can remember at least 2 other times that we collected cell phone.
You mentioned making an announcement to tell people that the party, that they could go to the Capitol if they want, but that's not what the party was asking them to do. Who requested that?
Troy Hudson had asked that I make that announcement.
And did you feel like that was necessary?
Yes, because again, my understanding was we didn't want this meeting to be misconstrued as a meeting of the electors.
And what was the general reaction by the electors in the room?
I got the sense some folks still were going to go, and some other folks had decided that they would not be going.
This photograph that was taken by Ken Thompson. You know where that photograph is?
I don't.
Is it within your personal knowledge if there were any alternate electors from the original 16 that were present in the meeting?
But I believe that some replacements have been selected.
You know who those people were?
I do not know.
You know how they were selected?
I do not know.
Was there a document that was, to your knowledge, that was only signed by Kathleen Burden on that day?
Not that I recall.
No further questions. Thank you.
George Brown for Marianne Henry. Susanna, you mentioned earlier that you You reached out to Representative Cheney, Mr. Mauger, because you had concerns that certain electors did not fully understand what was going on.
Correct.
You know Mary Ann Henry?
I do.
Can you recognize her sitting next to me here?
I do.
And does she fall into that category of electors who didn't necessarily know what was going on according to
Objection, Your Honor. This calls for a legal conclusion.
Right, that's not true. I'm asking specifically when he reached out to those people, whether or not she was one of the electors.
When he reached out to whom?
When he reached out to Representative Cheney and Mr. Mauger, whether or not, not asking him about the truth of the matter asserted or anything like that. I'm asking him whether or not something he testified about earlier, if she falls into that category.
Okay, well, we allowed him to answer that question previously for whatever purpose it would serve. He did testify that he made contact to those individuals because he felt like some people were being casted in an unfair light. And so your question is to know your client was one of those people.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I'll allow the question.
I had not given thought to Marion Henry specifically.
Do you have any knowledge about what she knew regarding this?
I do not.
No further questions. Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is George Danini. I represent Kathleen Burton. I'm gonna go out on a limb and ask that same question that my colleague just asked. When you went to January 6th committee, when you went to the reporter, and you were talking about certain electors that you thought were being cast in an inappropriate light, was Kathleen Burton in those that you thought was cast in an inappropriate light?
That is correct.
Okay, so your statement, I believe, was some of the electors were not responsible for what had happened, and that's where you put Ms. Burton into that category. And you also said the second half of that was that there were other people involved who you thought were actually culpable.
Correct.
Who were those people?
I thought that Michonne Maddox might be culpable.
Okay. And then you mentioned something about and I'm going to come back to this later, but I just want to do it real quick. You said that there were, you had come down at the conclusion of the meeting, right?
Correct.
At Troy Hudson's request.
Correct.
Because you, on behalf of the MRP, wanted to make sure that they knew that they were not being asked to go to the state capitol.
Correct.
And you said there were some people who definitely weren't going to go.
Correct.
Are you aware that Ms. Burton definitely wasn't going to go?
I am.
Are you aware that Ms. Burton definitely did not go to the Capitol?
I am.
So you know that she went home with her terminally ill husband at the time, back home right from MRP headquarters.
I do.
Now, sir, I want to try to figure some things out, and maybe you know, maybe you don't know. Just a signature. So it's- okay. So I'm handing the witness Defense Exhibit B and Defense Exhibit C for identification. I'll show my copy to Ms. Logan.
The C a proposed exhibit?
C is a proposed for identification. And just for the record, proposed Exhibit C is merely the signature page that has been attached to the multi-page document, which is People's Exhibit 7.
I don't think this witness is able to knows anything about exhibit 7.
No, for the record, I was orienting the court, not the witness.
That's not how that's done.
Okay, you said it is defendant's exhibit C is what?
Is the signature page?
Are you asking him what?
No,
the document is?
that was for you. So I can, I'll redirect to the witness. All right. Let me ask the question directly. Defense Exhibit C for identification or proposed, is that the document you saw in the basement?
Correct.
Is that the document you saw as a one-page document alone?
I don't recall if I saw it second page, but I remember 3 copies of this page from that table for sure.
Okay, and really trying to get granular here, but you were at the meeting at the beginning.
Yes.
You left for a while.
Yes.
And then you came back down.
Correct.
And the timeline is we're talking about when you came back down, you saw 3 pieces of paper on the table.
Correct.
And people were signing it.
Correct.
Did you see 6 pieces of paper on the table?
Not to my recollection.
You saw 3.
I believe so.
And Ms. Logan asked you, they were 3 separate signature pages, correct?
Correct.
Signed in triplicate was the question.
I saw three of this page be signed.
And that's it.
That's all I saw.
Okay. Now, you also answered, I think, on cross-examination from somebody else, there was a document that was designed just for Kathy Burden to sign on that day. That's Defense Exhibit B. Have you ever seen Defense Exhibit B before today?
No,
Okay. When you were on the call with Laura Cox, Troy Hudson, and Stu Sandler, do you recall a conversation about a document that Stu Sandler had drafted that was going to be signed that day?
I do.
Okay, but you didn't see the document.
Well, my understanding was that's what they were reviewing upstairs in the lobby. But again, I didn't review it myself.
I see. Okay, so. All right, that's helpful. So you believe that the signature page was downstairs in the basement.
Correct.
Upstairs, you said they walked up 2 by 2
Correct.
and they were signing a document,
I believe they signed it, yes.
the electors. You believe that's this Stu Sandler created document?
It was a. I'm not sure if it was this document or not.
Okay, fair. So we've heard other testimony that this Kathy Burden document, Exhibit B, may have been signed downstairs in the basement. You don't have knowledge of
I
that.
do not have knowledge.
Okay. And your testimony about the document that was signed on the first floor was that each of the electors present signed their own document,
I believe so.
and 2 by 2 because there wasn't enough room.
Correct.
And so at the conclusion of that upstairs event, there would have been 16 individual documents,
I believe so.
one signed by Kathy Burden
I believe so.
and one signed by each of the other 15 electors.
I believe so.
And do you remember seeing that document?
I saw the document as we handed it out, but again, that was,
So I'm asking, I haven't seen these documents.
Yeah.
So was it a single page document or a multi-page?
I
document?
believe it was 2 pages.
2 pages. Do you know anything more about that document that you could share with this court?
I don't. I know it was made for each of the individual electors because with the change in the slate, it had to be reprinted for somebody.
And when you say change in the slate, that's referring to there were 2 people who were originally electors who didn't show up on that day. One had COVID, the other didn't want to be part of the ceremony, and so they had to be replaced.
Correct.
I see. So you remember those 2 documents in particular being printed because those were 2 new people.
Correct.
Okay. And who is controlling the action upstairs?
Troy Hudson.
All right. So you and Troy Hudson were walking people upstairs 2 by 2.
Correct.
And again, timeline purposes, when did you give this instruction that MRP is not asking people to go to the Capitol?
It was towards the end of the meeting.
Before the 2 by 2 upstairs?
After.
After. So did they all come back downstairs?
They had started up in the reception area before the meeting started downstairs. So there were folks downstairs when they arrived, but the meeting had not started. And so that's when we would go down, get the folks, bring them up to the lobby, have them sign or review the documents upstairs. Then they went back to the basement. At that point, a meeting started in the basement. I was there to see it gavelled in. I went to my office, came back towards the end of the other meeting, saw it wrap up where this was signed. The photo was taken, the announcement was made, and then most people left the building.
I see. I had my timeline wrong. Okay. So the 2 by 2 happened beforehand.
Correct.
I see. Okay. But we don't know what those documents are. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. I think- All right. All right, so on the call, let's go back to that, the December 13, 2020 call, Laura Cox, Stu Sandler, you and Troy Hudson. That's the first time you learned about this meeting that was going to happen the next day, right?
That's right.
And Troy Hudson was going to be responsible for contacting these folks to appear the next day?
I don't know who was necessarily contacting them.
Oh, that wasn't discussed on the call?
That was discussed.
Okay, and was on the call, you know what, let's just do it this way. What do you remember about that call?
Again, very little. It was that we are holding this meeting tomorrow. that they'll be signing an affidavit saying that if called upon because of a court case, they are willing to serve as the electors, that we don't want this to be portrayed as the official meeting of the electors. Therefore, we don't want press there. We don't want it recorded. And if any camera crews are to show up from the media, to speak with them and get them to basically leave the premises.
And so just keep picking up on a couple of things you said. If called upon, and if there was a court case that made a decision changing the election, I'm assuming?
Correct.
So you're talking about an event that could happen after December 14, 2020.
Correct.
What was going to happen on December 14, 2020 was the signing of a document that was like a placeholder,
Correct.
a contingent document,
Correct.
something that had no legal force and effect unless and until some future event happened.
Correct.
And that's your understanding.
That was my understanding.
And that was explained to you by Laura Cox
By Laura Cox and Susan.
and Stu Sandler. And again, Stu Sandler is an attorney
Correct.
for the Michigan Republican Party.
Correct.
And he analyzed this
Correct.
and he provided you with legal counsel about this.
Correct.
And was there some, we heard this, so I just want to follow up. Was there anything discussed on your December 13th call about how this should be a symbolic or ceremonial meeting to kind of honor these folks?
No.
No, that wasn't discussed?
No.
And did you guys, you said you were aware of the 1960 Hawaii precedent. Was that discussed on the call with Laura Cox and Stu Sandler?
Yes.
And you said you had a basic understanding of that, right?
Correct.
Had you ever seen the contingent slate that was prepared by then the Democratic side that year?
I did not.
You've never seen this document?
No.
And again, you weren't responsible for calling these individuals to show up on December 14th, but were you aware that that was for Troy Hudson to do?
Again, I wasn't sure who was doing it. I had later heard that Stuart Foster, the deputy director, had made some of the calls, but again, it wasn't under my purview.
And Stu Foster works for Troy Hudson,
Correct.
reports to.
Correct.
And so again, this was a meeting of these electors on December 14, 2020 at MRP's request,
I believe so.
at Laura Cox's request.
I believe so.
And that was implemented by Troy Hudson and Stu Foster by contacting these folks to show up the next day.
I believe so.
Now, you're not sure what those people, what Stu Foster said to like a Kathy Burden or anybody else.
No, it's not relevant.
Okay, so we'll have to ask him. I think we've covered it, but just to, yeah, we covered that. Never mind. Real quick on, I think this to clear up things, I think Mr. Sonberg just gave a wrong name on the document that was signed upstairs. And I'm just going to refer you to the exhibit, Defense Exhibit B. If you look at the second page, do you see there's a notary there? Do you know who Henrietta Toe is?
She was our chief financial officer.
Is she also a notary?
Yes.
And are you aware that she, well, let's start with that. Like, this may be the one that was signed upstairs, you don't know, but did you see Henrietta Toe notarize that document that Kathy Burden signed on that
I
day?
can't recall.
Whether in the basement or upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay, now you said that the meeting, these folks were there at the Michigan Republican Party's request, right?
Correct.
And they were there at Laura Cox's request.
I believe so.
why is it that Sean Flynn's gaveling in the meeting that Laura Cox called for?
Well, again, I wasn't sure what was happening in the basement. I assumed because he was a lawyer.
So you deferred to a lawyer,
Correct.
and you you said, well, excuse, you didn't say this yet. You said, or Sean Flynn kind of arrived on the scene, if you will, in the summer of 2020,
Correct.
and he was working in that building,
Correct.
and you had some interactions with him in the lead up to the election,
That is correct.
and you actually even went to him for legal advice at times,
Correct.
even though he's a Trump campaign person.
Correct.
And so you're not a lawyer.
No.
And you are obviously involved in politics, yes?
Correct.
And in this space, tell the court how much you rely on legal advice.
In politics, you probably rely on lawyers more than in most professions. It's a case that campaign finance law is constantly evolving. Every cycle it's different, and therefore you go to legal counsel. Sometimes, depending on what your role is in any campaign, it can be almost daily. So for example, when we send out campaign mailers, those all have to go through legal counsel before we even review them for copy a lot of times. Same thing with press releases and whatnot. It wasn't out of the ordinary for us to go to a legal counsel to make sure that we weren't going to get in trouble for something like a libel suit. So it's legal counsel probably plays a very outsized role, more than it does other businesses.
Okay, and so you knew Stu Foster was involved from the MRP.
Yes,
He wasn't there that day, but you knew he was involved in this process.
I had heard so after the fact.
Well, you're on the call with him on December 13th.
Stu Foster.
I'm sorry, Stu Sandler, excuse me.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Yes,
So he was involved
correct,
as a lawyer.
correct,
And then Sean Flynn was there and he's a lawyer.
correct.
And so even if you thought something was not going exactly how you thought, based on what was told to you, you figured there's lawyers here, so I'm going to defer to the lawyers.
Correct.
You think people like Kathy Burden might have said there's lawyers involved, so they know what they're doing?
Objection, speculation.
How does that not cause speculation?
Withdrawn.
Thank you.
Now, you talked a little bit about those documents and how they had to be printed because there were 2 replacements that showed up.
Mhm.
Did you do anything to get replacements there?
I did not.
Did you care if there were any replacements that showed up?
It wasn't up to me.
Well, but based on what you knew, how you were briefed from Laura Cox and Stu Sandler, did you have any position as to whether replacements were there or not?
I didn't. Again, my understanding was this was what legally needed to happen, and so it was one of those things. I was there to just make sure that the process went smoothly and that camera crews weren't admitted to the building.
Are you aware whether Ms. Burden had played any role whatsoever in getting these 2 replacement electors to show up that day?
I'm not aware.
Were you downstairs when the meeting opened? Did you observe anything about how Ms. Burden and or Ms. Rodriguez were at the last minute nominated to be chair and secretary respectively?
I had seen them be nominated, but that was right around the time I left the meeting.
Okay, was that anything that had been told to you in advance?
I don't believe so.
Was that discussed on that December 13th meeting?
I don't believe so.
So was that, to your knowledge, a spur of the moment thing?
Again, I didn't really have any knowledge of it. No.
By giving her this symbolic title of chair, was she in charge of anything in that room?
I wasn't in the meeting.
Your Honor, that assumes facts, not an evidence, calling it a symbolic nomination of chair.
That's fine. I'll strike symbolic. For the portions that you were there, was Kathy Burden in charge of the meeting in any way?
For the portions I was there, no, but I wasn't there for majority.
Understood. But for the portions you were there?
Correct.
She was not in charge.
Correct.
So we're just looking back at Defense Exhibit C, signature page. You see page 2 at the bottom there? Is there any page number on that document?
Not that I see.
Yeah. Your Honor, I'd like to just move for the omission of Defense Exhibit C.
Any objections to?
No, Your Honor.
Defense C? Defense C is in.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just curious, we got some information that there's some FBI agents interviewing people at the end of November and maybe talking about these documents that were signed upstairs. Do you have any, did the FBI reach out to you?
They have not.
Do you have any knowledge of that?
No.
I've got a note here, and I'd have to go find it. I'm just gonna ask the question from your interview. It says that Sean Flynn directed the electors to sign the document that was up on the first floor.
That's incorrect.
Okay, so you think that was the downstairs?
Correct.
Okay. If you said that to the AG's office when you were interviewed, that it was Sean Flynn that directed the signing upstairs, that was either misreported or a misstatement.
Correct.
Okay, are you aware that something was eventually mailed to, whether it's National Archives, the President of the Senate, the Chief Judge of the Western District of Michigan, or the Secretary of State? We don't know what got where, but are you aware that something got mailed on the day? Oh, sorry, yes?
Yes.
Are you aware that that happened on the next day, December 15, 2020?
No, I was not aware.
How are you aware something was mailed?
Only because it was reported in the news.
Okay, did you talk to Sean Flynn about that?
Sean Flynn had mentioned he was going to be mailing it.
Okay, so Sean Flynn told you that he was going to be mailing something that was signed on that day.
My understanding was it was the documents that were signed the next time.
He told you he was mailing those.
Yes.
Right. And so, let me ask you this. You said before that there was, to your knowledge, based on your conversations with Laura Cox, Stu Sandler, and lead up to December 14th, 2020, there was no plan to replace the Democratic electors with the Republican electors. Does I have your testimony correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Right, okay. And so to the extent that Sean Flynn had somebody sign a document downstairs that tried to do that, would you say that he took advantage of the electors that were there that day?
Objection, Your Honor. I believe that would call for speculation.
Well, he knows this is an MRP meeting. These people, at least Ms. Burden, showed up at MRP's request. And if some Trump campaign lawyer hijacked the meeting and did something else, this witness can certainly say whether he thought that was improper.
This witness wasn't there for most of the meeting.
He doesn't know, based on his testimony, what was said. Your question is asking this witness if he believed that the attorney took advantage. Based on what?
Based on this lawyer who got, at least from this witness's testimony, at least my client, well, all 16 defendants to sign a piece of paper and then send something in to DC that was more than that, this witness can opine on that.
I join in believing that the question is proper because I think we've all heard Mr. Zamet's testimony. He wasn't in the basement the entire time, but he was in the building. And so for the portions of the meeting that he heard, the interactions with the electors, what he's overhearing with people on the phone, his phone call the day before, he has facts and circumstances to reach that opinion. Though, again, it goes to weight, not necessarily admissibility, recognizing that he wasn't in the basement the entire time. And so far, again, we haven't had a witness who is, but he does get us as close as possible to indicate what was being said to the electors and what was being said in the building.
Right, I don't know if that gives him the position to give a response as to whether or not he believes that the attorney took advantage of these electors based off what testimony he's provided us.
I think,
He's already been allowed to express his opinion as to the culpability or non-culpability of the variety of the electors. And that would directly imply or infer that he formed an opinion based upon his discussions with them. Since that door has been opened and he's been allowed to express that opinion, this would simply be an adjunct to that. I don't see how you could permit one and deny the other.
Well, Your Honor, I don't believe that this door was opened by the people, which is how that door would be opened. Defense counsel doesn't get to open the door for other defense counsel, and it's still, the fact still remains that this witness was not there for the majority of the meeting. Therefore, he is in no position to say whether or not an attorney took advantage of anyone who was a part of that meeting.
I'm gonna allow it only for the purposes that he was present for a portion or portions and also in the building and testified to hearing conversations. So based on whatever knowledge he has, he can give, I guess, whatever answer he can give based on that. I also tend to agree with the argument made by Mr. Silverthorne, which is it's in line with information that we've already let in, that I have already let in based on his statement that he made calls thinking that there were electors that were being improperly cast, lights improperly cast on them. So I'm going to allow him to answer the question. You can repeat the question because I'm sure he doesn't remember it.
I'm sure I don't remember it. Good news is this is gonna be my last question.
Did he believe that Flynn took advantage?
Yes, fair. So let's bracket it to be fair for both sides here. So you were down in the meeting at the beginning. You're down at the meeting at the end. You were there for some of the 2x2 going up the stairs. You had observations during the day. Okay, that's kind of the baseline.
The witness has to say yes or no.
That's the background. That's the baseline,
Correct.
correct?
Thank you.
Based on your knowledge of what that meeting was supposed to be, okay? We're good still?
Is that yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
To the extent that Sean Flynn got something signed in the basement that was other than what was requested by MRP, a contingent document, he took advantage of those electors that day, in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Just to follow up a little bit on that, Mr. Zammit, my name is Paul Stamplin. I am representing Amy Fascinello. Okay, do you know Amy?
I do not.
Okay. In regard to those individuals that were taken advantage of that day, would she be in that group?
I don't know her well enough to know.
Okay. In the you said that Sean Flynn was the one that gavelled in this meeting.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm assuming, let's just so everybody understands, gavelled in means you're leading the meeting, right?
Correct.
Okay. And this Sean Flynn is somebody that you've relied on before for legal opinions, correct?
Correct.
And you would consider then relying on his legal opinion. And when you asked him anyway, it was reasonable for you to rely on his opinion, right?
That is correct.
Okay. I think you said before you knew that he was that he went to Georgetown, right?
That's correct.
And he was a lawyer licensed in Michigan.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And was he the lawyer for the Trump campaign in Michigan?
Yes.
Okay. Were there other lawyers that represented the campaign that you knew of? Or not?
Not on a day-to-day basis. He was the only one.
Okay. All right. Were there other lawyers that day with Mr. Flynn?
I I saw another gentleman who was another lawyer. There may have been more, again, in the conference room. I did not see anyone else, but I heard conversations going on, but that could have been over a speakerphone.
Okay, and when you say conference room, are you talking about the meeting in the basement or the meeting on the first floor?
There's behind the reception area, there is a conference room.
Okay,
And
that's
so
the
again,
smaller one, right?
it's smaller than what's in the basement, but again, it would be on the way to most of the building. Not the basement, but if I was going to my office or whatnot, I was constantly passing by the conference room.
Okay, so where were the other lawyers that you saw? Downstairs?
There was one other lawyer, I do not know his name, but he was upstairs. He had been in the lobby at one point. At another point, I had seen him going to the conference room.
Okay, we're talking about the conference room that you have to walk by the reception area. Okay. Sean Flynn and any of the others have access to printers while they're there? I mean, does Sean?
Sean worked in the building, so I would assume he had access to a printer.
Okay. And so, and understand this also, you were, or your direction from Laura Cox was that no one else was going to be allowed in the building that day other than the electors.
That is correct.
Okay. And no one was going to be allowed to take pictures or to film what happened.
That is correct.
And you and Troy Hudson collected all the cell phones so that nobody could record them.
That is correct.
And that was all part of Laura Cox's direction to you.
That is correct.
Okay. Your estimate about how long you were absent from this meeting in the basement was about an hour, I think you said?
Approximately, again, I can't recall. It was 3
Could be
years ago.
shorter than that?
Could have been.
Okay. If somebody else had said it was 20 or 30 minutes, would you disagree with that?
Again, it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. I don't have anything further.
Did everybody pass their follow-up questions to Mr. Silverton already?
Bar closes in 61 minutes.
That's all.
Question everybody wants to hear. Who else were you thinking wasn't as culpable as some of the others?
Well, again, I didn't know everyone's name that was there, but I didn't think Gavin Burton was necessarily culpable. I didn't think Maida Rodriguez was necessarily culpable. I would say the vast majority, I didn't think was culpable. I thought that they were going along with what lawyers were telling them.
You thought they were doing what?
Going along with what the lawyers were telling them.
And was this opinion formed on the upstairs meeting that you'd had with Sue on to?
It was just kind of a general assumption. It was formed throughout watching the proceedings of the day.
Okay. You indicated that you saw 3 pieces of paper or documents on the table, is that correct?
Correct.
And I'm looking at 2 documents in front of you. The one that would be to, so it'd be to your left, looks like one document.
The signature page.
Yes, and the one that's on your, like, right, your left, put it back down. I can see a split where clearly there's another page under it. Right. Let the record reflect that he's opening the page. You don't recall seeing any documents that had a split that would indicate that there was another page under it, do you?
This may have been the document that was upstairs. Again, that was a multi-page document, but I cannot attest.
You don't know what the downstairs document was, do you?
The downstairs document I can tell you was this page.
Okay.
Signature.
What exhibit, just for the record, the exhibit you just put up in the air, what's the number on that?
Exhibit C.
So that would be defense C, and the other one that has the split would be
Defense speaking.
Yes.
defense
And
speaking.
for the record, I'm only selecting those documents as a representative example of being able to tell when you're looking at pages on a table, that there may be additional pages under them.
There could have been.
Okay, but you didn't see anything, did you?
I didn't see any. All I saw was this that I recall.
And that's all that you saw. So you didn't see like pages slightly askew where they weren't lined up completely.
Not to my recollection.
You just saw what, in your view, were 3 single pieces of paper.
To my recollection.
In the table, you had plenty of time to view the table.
It was a passing glimpse, just watching people sign.
The instructions to the group that the GOP was not necessarily asking them to go to the Capitol. Was that done individually with people upstairs?
It was an announcement.
It was an announcement at the group, is that
Correct.
correct? And where were you standing when you made the announcement?
I was standing inside the doorway, so close to where that round table was.
Okay, and to the best of your knowledge, was everyone paying attention to you?
Again, I thought folks were, but I can't attest that 16 people were all paying attention.
Would it be fair to say that you noted a lot of what I have here, which is gray hair?
That is possible.
Okay, do you notice that the defendants sitting here have a lot of gray hair?
I do.
Okay, so you really don't know who heard you or didn't hear you.
That is true.
Thank you.
Redirect.
Yes, please.
Mr. Zamet, you mentioned that you can recall 2 other times that cell phones were collected at the Michigan GOP
Correct.
headquarters. What were those? When were those times?
We had a committee meeting that was a meeting of the issues committee. I believe we collected cell phones that time. And then I remember a state committee meeting where we had cell phones at one point.
And on December 14th, 2020, did you collect the cell phones kind of to control the narrative, the media narrative?
Well, my understanding was we were collecting them because we didn't want this portrayed as an official meeting of the electors, and therefore we didn't want it filmed and recorded and sent out to the public.
Because the official electors were in the Capitol building in the Senate chamber.
That is correct.
Now, the document that was being signed upstairs that you were bringing electors up 2 by 2, what happened to those signed documents?
I'm not sure.
And did you actually look at any of those documents?
I did not.
Okay, are you sure they were documents and not ballots?
Again, I didn't look at it close enough. All I know it was multi-page.
Now, the document that's Defense Exhibit B, I think that's to your right. Did you see that document on December 14th, 2020?
Not to my recollection.
But the document that was referenced on the December 13th, 2020 call, was stated that the electors would be willing to serve if called upon. Is that correct?
That was what I was told.
It did not contain language that said, that identified the Republican candidates as duly elected electors, correct?
My understanding was they were only to serve if a court case determined that they would be allowed to serve.
And as far as the meeting that took place in the basement, would you agree you missed a good portion of that meeting?
I would miss the vast majority.
So you saw the start
Yep,
and essentially the ending?
correct.
Now, is it fair to say that whatever happened during that hour that you were in your office, you don't know what happened?
Objection leading.
Do you know what happened the
Objection
hour?
sustained.
Yeah, do you know what happened the hour you were in your office?
I do not.
Do you know who was leading the meeting the hour you were in your office?
I do not.
Do you know who all spoke up or objected or did not object it that
I-
hour you were in your office?
I do not.
Do you know who proposed signing the document that included the signature page of Defense C while you were in your office?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. That is misrepresenting this witness's testimony. This witness's testimony is that only that single page was signed in the basement. So when she refers to a multi-page document, that's not this witness's testimony. It's an improper question.
I'm not referring to his
Sure you
testimony at all.
She said, do you know?
What's the question?
Does he know who proposed the document that included that signature?
That's an objection. That included is a misstatement of the record. That's the piece of paper. That's it. So
No,
it didn't
that's-
include
that's-
anything.
That's your exhibit.
Well, it's in the record. And that was produced by itself by the Attorney General's office in discovery.
Your question specifically, does he know?
I'll rephrase the question.
Well, I want you to
Make it
repeat
easier.
the question so I can address it. Are you withdrawing your question?
I'm withdrawing it
Okay,
and I'll
question.
rephrase it. Do you know the circumstances that led to the production of that page defense C?
I do not.
Do you know if it came with other pages?
I do not.
So can you say that Sean Flynn is the one who presented that document?
I cannot.
Can you say who presented that document?
I cannot.
When you came downstairs and you observed electors signing it, did you observe any electors objecting to signing it?
I did not.
So can you say that electors did not want to sign?
And just for the record, the it is the defense exhibit C.
It is.
That's correct.
Okay.
I cannot.
Now, you were asked to take note that several of the electors have gray hair. You remember that question?
I do.
Can you take note that the defendants are adults?
I can.
Can you take note that the defendants are allowed to make choices?
I can.
Now, are you in a position, having missed an hour of the meeting, to say that any elector in that basement signed against their own will?
I am not.
Can you say whether or it was or was not their choice to sign document defense C?
I cannot.
As it related to the replacement electors, do you know the circumstances of how they were called upon?
I do not.
Do you know who called the replacement electors?
I do not.
Do you remember speaking with Special Agent Shock about the electors being someone searching for electors?
I
on
do.
Do you remember who that person was?
I believe it was Sean.
And where did that take place?
She was in the lobby area and on the main floor. Again, we had taken cell phones from folks that were down in the conference room, but we allowed people to continue to use their cell phones if they were on the main floor of the building.
Okay. And did alternate electors actually appear at the GOP headquarters?
I believe so.
How many?
I believe too.
Were their names on the list?
Again, I was told that certain people would be allowed in, but they weren't on the initial list. It wasn't really the list per se.
So who determined that the two alternates who are not on the list will be let in?
Your Honor, I'm sorry, but I just need to object. I think words matter here. So these are all alternate electors. I think she means replacement electors for that day. I think that's important.
Well, on the cross, I think one of the councils did refer to them as alternate electors. It wasn't clarified then either. So
Thank you.
I'm clear as to what we're talking about.
Thank you. So who determined that the alternate replacement electors would be allowed into the GOP headquarters?
I believe it was short.
Were you present when I guess an announcement was made about going to the Capitol building?
I was not.
Do you know who made that announcement?
I believe.
No, not do you believe, do you know?
Michonne Maddock.
How do you know that if you were not present?
I had heard from,
Okay, I'm gonna stop that.
Okay.
That's hearsay.
Right.
Okay, so you were not present.
I was not.
What about the photograph there were not supposed to be photographs, correct?
Correct.
Who decided that who requested a photograph?
Michonne Maddox.
Ms. Maddox, an attorney,
She is not.
but the photo was taken, correct?
Correct.
Some electors did go to the Capitol, correct?
Correct.
And alternate replacements were allowed into the building even though it was closed, correct?
Correct.
I'm sorry, into
Thank
the
you.
building is the MRP headquarters?
MRP
Sorry,
headquarters.
thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, there is a sequestration order, so we're going to excuse you, but you need to understand that you're not to discuss any portions of your testimony with any other witness, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, you may be excused. And I would assume you have another witness, or today or this is a good time to adjourn.
No.
There's an objection.
I can call another witness. He's not gonna be short though.
Okay, well then we don't have time because I have to give everybody a break now anyways. We've been sitting for 2 hours. So by the time we got back, it would be at least 3:45. And stop. You cannot take a vote. Only my vote counts on here. So let's align our calendar because we need, how many more witnesses is there? 6 or 7? Is any of the defense expecting to call witnesses? Should I set some time aside for that?
Not at this time. No.
Okay, let's do 2 more days. Let me
Your Honor, I do have one just administrative matter that I need to bring up.
I guess.
I'm gonna let you know everyone knows tomorrow, so you're gonna be around, right?
Yeah, we're not gonna be brief.
I know.
Oh, you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So was the court looking at February 13th?
We can do February 13th, 14th, February 21st, 22nd, or the 27th, 28th.
We can do February 13th and 14th.
We're gonna do two days, not three.
It's extremely difficult to find a third day in the same week, because I have other cases that.
I can do 13.
13, 14, fine, Your Honor.
I can do 13.
That works for Ms. Burden.
February 13th and 14th works for us, Your Honor, for, excuse me, Michelle Lang.
So it looks like 13, 14 works for everybody.
Wow.
Well, there's that.
I've never seen anything like
Neither have I.
that.
14 are the lucky dates, and we'll do that, and then set a third date as needed. Then we'll know better if any defense counsel needs to call any witnesses as well.
Great.
Should suggestion, should we put down now the 20th or 21st, just as that third optional day? Because when we get there, that's not gonna be available to you.
Are you all available on the 21st?
I'm not, I'm actually on vacation.
Okay,
And I'm in trial.
Yep. So that doesn't work. Maybe that will be part 2 for the second round. Well, no, because you're in trial, so that won't work for them either.
Okay, I just tried.
Are we doing 8:30 again on the 13th and 14th?
We're gonna do the 13th and 14th,
8:30.
8:30 in the morning. There was an administrative matter.
Yes, Your Honor. So there are pretrial conditions that the court imposed, travel. And we're around the holidays. My client, Ms. Burden, lives in Tennessee. So she's got to come back and forth for the proceedings, which obviously she's going to come and do. She's been here for the 2 days. She'll be here the 13th and 14th. What I'd really ask is, I mean, I can get more specific, but I'd ask the travel restrictions be just withdrawn, removed from Ms. Burden. She's got 10 grandkids, a bunch of kids. She travels, and it's just an administrative nightmare to, number one, just get all that figured out, and then to have to check in all the time about a trip. I just ask that there's international travel is fine, but domestic travel.
We're gonna remove the travel. I have another motion for tomorrow, same thing. We're gonna remove the travel restrictions. I don't, now knowing a little bit more about the case, believe that it's necessary. So the travel restrictions.
That applies to everyone.
That applies to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any additional matters?
Well, I'm sorry, in terms of removing the travel restrictions, would you like us to present an order, or will that be made to pretrial services?
I probably have to redo all their PA-53 forms.
We could also present a stipulated order if that would be preferable, whatever the court prefers.
We still have to do a PA-53 form over,
Okay.
so it's easier for us to take care of that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Your Honor.
Sounds good. Off the record.